Spain was buzzing, every eye on Princess Leonor. Expectations were sky high. And then, shock. The wedding we all imagined didn't happen. Not even close. What really went down inside the palace will leave you speechless. The wedding had been planned for months. Invitations carefully curated, the guest list whispered about in every corner of Madrid. Royalty, dignitaries, and celebrities were all expected, yet the palace held a secret. From the very beginning, this day was not going to be like any other royal celebration. Even before the ceremony, whispers began to circulate. Close aides hinted at tensions, subtle but palpable. Princess Leonor, the heir to the Spanish throne, had grown into her own woman, graceful, poised, and quietly determined. But beneath the sparkling gowns and perfectly polished protocol, there was a story few could see. The first sign came during the arrival of guests. Cameras captured subtle glances exchanged between family members. There were smiles, yes, but also hesitation. A kind of silent conversation that spoke louder than any words. And then came the moment everyone had been waiting for, the bridal entrance. Leonor appeared, radiant and composed. But those who were paying close attention noticed something unusual. Her steps, though elegant, carried a weight. The traditional procession paused just slightly, a fraction of a second longer than expected. It was a small, almost imperceptible gesture, but it said more than any announcement. Inside the chapel, the vows were whispered with precision, but the atmosphere was electric. People leaned in, hoping to catch the subtle emotion in her voice. And that's when it happened, a glance, a fleeting smile shared with someone unexpected. The cameras caught it, the world saw it, but only those who looked closely understood its meaning. This was not just a wedding. It was a statement. Outside, the media scrambled. Social media exploded. Did she just? Headlines began to appear. The public was confused, intrigued, divided. Some admired her courage. Others were shocked that she would defy tradition so delicately, so intentionally. The truth behind that moment goes deeper. Months before the wedding, decisions had been made in secret. Princess Leonor had insisted on certain changes. Subtle alterations to the seating, the order of the procession, even the songs chosen for the ceremony. Each decision carefully calculated to honor her family, yes, but also to reflect her own beliefs, her own voice. Family members had mixed reactions. Some embraced her independence, seeing a young royal stepping confidently into her own identity. Others worried about breaking with tradition, about how Spain would perceive the heir to the throne making such bold choices. These private tensions were invisible to the casual observer but shaped every step of that day. The reception was no different. Speeches that seemed simple at first glance carried hidden meanings, nods to loyalty, love, and subtle rebukes. Leonor's speech, in particular, captivated everyone. She spoke not just to her partner, not just to her family, but to the Spanish people. And in every carefully chosen word, she revealed a maturity beyond her years, a wisdom that left even seasoned royals pausing to reflect. Yet, the most shocking part of the day came during a private moment, away from cameras. Witnesses later revealed that Princess Leonor took a quiet walk in the palace gardens, alone. Some interpreted it as nervousness, others as reflection. But the truth was deeper. She was gathering her thoughts, preparing herself not just for the role of a spouse, but for the weight of history she carries. The photographs released later captured fleeting expressions, soft smiles, moments of contemplation, brief touches between her and her family that told a story words could never capture. There was joy, yes, but also the unmistakable burden of responsibility. The world saw a fairy tale wedding, but behind closed doors, a young woman was stepping fully into her destiny. Even the choice of her wedding gown reflected her message. Designers noted that every detail was deliberate, from the subtle embroidery to the cut of the dress. It was a nod to her heritage, a tribute to her family, and simultaneously, a quiet declaration of independence. Spain wasn't ready for it, not because it was scandalous, but because it was revolutionary in its elegance, in its thoughtfulness. The after-party continued the theme of controlled surprises. Guests were presented with carefully curated experiences, symbolic gestures embedded in every corner. Music, lighting, and even the arrangement of flowers carried meaning. And through it all, Leonor moved gracefully, aware of every gaze, every expectation, every whisper of history around her. Journalists would later describe the day as the royal wedding that rewrote the script. Social media exploded with clips that seemed minor at first, a laugh, a glance, a small wave, but these were the moments that captured the public imagination. Fans speculated endlessly. Why did she pause there? Who was she looking at? What did that gesture mean? Each fragment told a story, but the full truth was reserved for those closest to her. Even as night fell, and the celebrations wound down, the tension lingered. It wasn't drama in the traditional sense. There were no arguments, no outbursts. Instead, it was a quiet, powerful shift. Princess Leonor had, in a single day, redefined what it means to be a young royal in modern Spain. She balanced duty and desire, tradition and independence, with a poise that left observers in awe. And as the palace doors closed, a new narrative began to take shape. Commentators, historians, and fans all debated, what did this mean for the monarchy? For Spain? For the future of the royal family? Questions that had seemed straightforward suddenly carried layers of complexity. Every detail of the wedding, from the choreography of the procession to the subtle expressions in private moments, contributed to a story that only deep observation could reveal. Those who watched carefully noticed that Princess Leonor's actions were deliberate, a masterclass in understated defiance wrapped in elegance. By the end of the night, Spain realized something profound. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a turning point. A young woman had claimed her place in history, quietly but unmistakably. And the world was left wondering, how will this shape the monarchy going forward? How will the next generation of royals navigate tradition, expectation, and personal desire? The truth is, Spain wasn't ready for Princess Leonor. Not because she did anything shocking in the usual sense. She simply acted with authenticity, with intention, with a quiet authority that demanded recognition. And in doing so, she inspired a nation, captivated the world, and reshaped the narrative of what it means to be a modern royal. Even weeks later, the impact of her wedding was still being felt. Analysts studied every clip, commentators debated every gesture, and fans continued to dissect every moment. And yet, the most important part remained unseen to the public: the way Princess Leonor carried herself through it all, blending tradition with innovation, expectation with personal truth, in a way that only a true heir could. Spain may not have been ready, but the rest of the world was watching. And as we look back, it becomes clear, this was never just a wedding. It was a declaration, a subtle revolution, and the beginning of a new chapter for the Spanish monarchy, led by a young woman who dared to step into her future fully aware, fully present, and fully herself.